So I am heading off for a little winter survival trip, and I'm going out at about 8,000 feet. I have no tent, and I have minimal comforts, but I do have some gear to hopefully get a fire going and survive the night. It's gonna be an adventure, and I'm pretty stoked. Let's go. So I'm going out in an area that had a big forest fire not too long ago, a couple years ago. It's not as pretty, unfortunately, but I think it might make finding some firewood and survival supplies a little bit easier. But it is a little sad to see all this old char burned out forest. So this area has some stuff of what I'm looking for. Some stuff that looks like I could harvest it, like this guy. And yeah, make good use out of it. I also don't want to camp under any widowmakers, trees that might fall down with the weight of the snow or the wind. Could actually use these two trees. The weather has actually improved quite a bit. So I do see some dark clouds, and it was flurrying when I was driving out here. And there might be another like inch or so in the forecast, but I think for the most part, it's gonna be pretty clear. It is supposed to get quite cold tonight. Not crazy, but like down to like 12 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, let's get after it. So I've got a few tools with me that hopefully will help. I'm bringing a hatchet. This one is from Big Agnes, which I didn't know that they made hatchets until a little bit earlier this year, but it's kind of like a hammer slash hatchet. So that should be kind of fun. And then I have a saw as well that should make processing some of this firewood quite a bit easier. And then I've got one of these Gerber folding saws. Pretty excited to try it out. Kind of cool. This isn't working nearly as well as I thought it would. After compacting it down, there's only like 4 to 6 inches to harvest. I am shocked. Other side of the mountain, it is 3 times as deep, if not more. Grubworm. I guess I won't starve. So I'm going to be setting up my shelter, which is just going to be a little tarp. And it really hasn't worked well so far because I didn't think there would be this little bit of snow. But I would love to create another snow barrier at like the back of the tarp and block the wind, which is mostly coming this way. And then I hopefully will be setting up a fire pit either over here, possibly over here, but I don't want embers to burn through the tarp or to pop my sleeping mat or anything like that, so I'll probably put it a little bit further away. But my snow blocks are looking pretty pathetic over there. There's just only like this much snow, which blows my mind with how much we've gotten in the last few days. The snow just didn't fall here, I guess. All right, well, let's set this thing up. Trucker's hitches are a knot that are super handy for stuff like this. So I've got these trucker's hitches all over the place here. And yeah, they're a really useful little knot. So unfortunately I'm having microphone issues again, which means I'm just gonna have to go with the camera mic, which sucks. So sorry about that. Got this nice little wall built up, and it's not super clean because every time I dig up a snow block, a bunch of dirt comes with it. The wind is primarily coming from this side, so I think this is gonna help protect me pretty good. I might build up the head end a little bit more, but right now I need to get cracking on making a fire, because that is how I'm gonna get my drinking water and cook my dinner tonight. So the day is getting late and I got to make sure that I can actually get a fire going. So I brought out with me some like juniper bark, which is one of my favorite little fire starters. So this is really good. It's dry. I'm pretty sure I can count on it. And then I also brought these little stormproof fire starters from Yuko, which I've never used before, but I've wanted to. So I've done quite a bit with the kindling to get it ready, and I don't really want to try twice. I want to go get it in one go. Just as I'm getting my fire started, a little bit of snow is coming down. Feels good. So my fire starting strategy has worked so far. Went up super easy and had really good kindling. Cutting down some of these trees that have been standing but were burned and killed has been really nice, and that's so far is burning really good. It's a lot of work to make that firewood work. So I'm hoping that some of these other stuff, just like these limbs that I cut off of a downed ponderosa, will also work, especially as the night carries on. But I did want to get this going, get the coals going, and now I'm gonna go set up my bed. Slippery. Woo! That's a lot better. So cooking directly over a fire is pretty harsh on your pots and pans. And I didn't want to wreck any of my camping equipment that I normally backpack with. So I actually swung over to Savers, a thrift store, and found a vintage MSR pot. I feel a little bit bad because it's a really cool vintage pot, but at the same time, I wanted just like a cheap, functional pot that I could throw on the fire. And it's gonna get totally blackened and covered in like this like sappy stuff that's gonna come out of the wood. But that's how I'm cooking. I'm gonna be frying up some bacon and making dinner here shortly, and pretty excited about it all. Let's go bacon. I brought this. Gonna throw it in with the bacon and hope it tastes good. Now I'd say that looks pretty dang good. Woo! Well, that one goes down as one of my favorite camp meals. That was so good. The bacon grease really lit up that white corn, and unbelievable. Temperature's really starting to drop. The sun's gone down, obviously, and it's in the mid 20s, roughly 22 to 25. Woo. It's about 6 o'clock. I'm gonna try to stay up for another hour or two tending my fire, and then I'm gonna crawl in. You see the steam coming off my gloves? That's why I'm glad to have brought these. Just some regular old work gloves from Home Depot, but I wouldn't be able to do this with my kind of like nice fleecy gloves. I'd just shred them out. And if in case you're wondering why I'm wearing this shirt, it's my fire shirt. The main purpose is to protect my nice puffy down jacket from getting a bunch of embers in it, or a Gore-Tex jacket. It's crazy looking. So I started to get a little hungry again. My first dinner was at like 5 o'clock. It's about 8 now. And it's always a good idea to eat food before you go to bed, especially when winter camping. Especially things with high fat content, such as bacon. I just brought out a bag of like pre-diced hash browns with a little bit of seasoning. And I'm gonna go for part of my breakfast right now. This little seasoning packet of taco blend from Kinder's is really good. Dinner round 2. I've got my shelter set up. I think I'm gonna leave this in the up mode. It's been pretty mild. There's a little bit of a breeze, but kind of just want to be able to see out, enjoy the night, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. Got my hot water bottle. Throw that in. Did check for leaks. Think I am gonna try to sleep without this thing so that I can get a more accurate gauge on this Nemo Tensor Extreme. Pillow, balaclava in case I get cold. All right. Change into some fresh, clean socks. Before you sleep, you have to tell that these are actually rather sweaty. Well, temperature's dropping and I'm crawling in for the night. Super satisfying to have that fire, and I'm really excited about testing this setup and being out here and just having a little bit more exposure. You know, I think in so many times when we go backpacking and camping, we consistently enclose ourselves. And a number of years ago, I actually used to be a guide, and we had a rule for the company that I worked for where we weren't allowed to have tents. We had to have tarps of some sort. So this is kind of taking me back to my roots a little bit. And yeah, so it's still different to me because I normally would have it like really low and closed in, and I kind of just want to be able to look out. But yeah, so I've got a 0 degree sleeping bag and my Thermarest. Well, this is the Thermarest, and then I've got my Nemo Tensor Extreme, which I had a bunch of comments on my last video saying that people didn't believe that it was really R8.5 and that there was cold spots, and so it's not going to be as extremely cold as my last camp out, but I'm having a 0 degree bag instead of my -20. I kind of want to just, you know, not mask any deficiencies that this might have with an ultra warm sleeping bag. So hopefully I am not miserable, and yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. So see you in the morning, everybody. It got pretty chilly last night, but actually I did okay in here. I was comfortable. When it got cold, I had to really cinch up and tighten up everything with my draft collar and the hood. Put on my neck gaiter to cover my nose, but all in all, did pretty good. Well, this little shelter was pretty nice, and definitely that windbreak in the back really helped. It was just consistently not windy, but just like probably like a 5 to 10 mile an hour breeze. Just enough that if that was consistently blowing on me, it would have been even colder. Sun is just peeking up now, and starting to hit the peaks and the tops of the trees, and it's really pretty. And I'm gonna try to get a fire going again. It's just a bunch of elk. There's at least 20 elk that just walked by back there. They're back there. Oh, so cool. That's a lot of them. Well, this shelter turned out great, actually, and it was fun having this kind of propped open so I could see out. I could actually kind of see the stars and see the weather conditions going on, and that was fun. And this little break here, this L snow wall I built, really did help diminish the wind and kept me more protected, kind of as much as you can for not having an actual like proper shelter and tent and enclosed space. I slept directly with my Tensor on the snow, the Tensor Extreme. This was actually one of the reasons for me to be out here, was for me to get more testing in on the Tensor. I didn't put anything under it. I didn't want any additional insulation to kind of alter it. And then I also had a 0-degree bag, which is comfort rated to about 13, 14 degrees, and it got down to 12 degrees last night. So I wanted to also be able to tell by not overcompensating with a really comfortable bag, really overly warm bag, like a negative 20. And I can say that there was a spot or two that I noticed that felt cold. And it was like right around at my butt, there was a spot in the pad that just seemed like that's where more cold was coming through. And so that was strange. And I've seen some people talk about how the mylar that creates the insulation can freeze together or stick together and then not do what it's supposed to do to create the actual insulating value. I do think that there might be some credence to that thing about the cold spots, which I think is a little disappointing, because otherwise it's such a cool, exciting sleeping pad to be at 8.5 R value with as light and as small as it gets. It's a pretty cool advancement. I will keep using it. I think it's better than any other pad that I have for cold temperatures. So it's not like it's worthless. So if people are confused out there that the cold spots, at least in my experience, make it not usable, well, that's not the case. It's just for the hype, the 8.5 R value, to have it have a little bit of that cold seeping through. Feels like it shouldn't be happening for as warmly rated as it supposedly is. Those potatoes froze pretty solid overnight. Look at that shallot. Oh, that looks good. That'll do. Nice little breakfast right here. And try to make some biscuits. I've been baking this morning, and the biscuits in the pan. An animal just ran by. Don't know what that was. So the biscuits in the pan worked okay. Burned the tops and bottoms a little bit, but the insides are good. And then I used this pin broad style where you wrap the dough around a stick and put it over a fire, which is something I picked up in like Sweden. That worked really well, but the insides were pretty doughy, but the outsides were so good. So I actually just threw the insides, the raw stuff, back in the pot and cooked them up the rest of the way. But man, having hot biscuits on a cold morning like this, it's so nice. I'm feasting out here. This is the way to do it. That's nice. Well, it's time for me to start packing up. So I've already put away my sleeping bag and that, and I'm going to take down the tarp shelter and clean up camp, get on out of here. Just a quick note about the tools. I did bring this Gerber handsaw that I actually thought was pretty slick. I was able to process wood really fast and even cut down pretty good diameter trees, like something like 6-inch diameter trees that are dead here. So this saved me actually a lot of work. And having this with the hatchet, not normally used for backpacking, but for like a winter camping situation, this was awesome. The hatchet was good, but having the pair together worked really nicely. This thing's pretty cool. All right, ready to go. Pretty awesome time out here in the mountains near Flagstaff. I don't come this way very often, but it's really beautiful. Sad to see the burn, but it's interesting to be out here anyway and see how this place is recovering in the couple years since the fire. But super fun time to practice some winter skills. Definitely like into it right now. I just had my last one in Colorado and it really inspired me to get out more. So I'm glad I could take advantage of this snowstorm and come spend some more time out here. Well, it's been a great one. I'm about to go home, shower up, and I think it's a little Super Bowl. All right, thanks for watching everybody. I'll see you later.